Hello and welcome to Strategic Leadership. In today's topic of strategic change, I'd like to present you on a couple of points. The first one is the description of my company strategy, including its goal and scope. The second one is how my company encourages innovation and how those activities logically support my company strategy. And finally, concrete suggestions that will help my company improve its strategy. Before I begin, I'd like to mention the area or the industry I work in. I work for Deloitte Consulting, and the goal of my company is to find new opportunities and create value to our customers across all services in the value chain. When we look at the spectrum of the industry, we primarily have six major areas wherein the industry is giving services to the customers or the clients. The first one is the enterprise strategy. Second one is business unit or functional strategy. Third one is operating model design. Fourth is roadmap development and business casing. Fifth one is program execution. And finally, sustainment and maintenance. So when we look at the spectrum, at the extreme left where we have enterprise strategy, we have big three which are predominant in the market. Big four is having or covering the area in the spectrum at the center, and at the extreme right we have technology integrators which are primarily focusing on program execution and sustenance and maintenance. When we talk about the scope for Deloitte, we are having five major groups of services. One is audit, the next one is consulting, another one is financial advisory, risk, and finally tax. I am primarily serving consulting, so we will focus more on consulting in this presentation. So Deloitte helps clients solve their most complex problems from strategy to implementation, and the scope geographically looking at it, we are having existence all over the world, having around 25 global delivery centers and multiple offices all over the world. Now, to become an integrated solution provider across the customer strategy, we have to basically fulfill business process transformation and technology investments to capture maximum value to our customers. So we have to basically look at two different aspects. One is help our customers identify value, and once the identifying of the value is done, we have to basically help our customers to capture the value. In order to identify the value, there are multiple things my company does. One is develop the business case and create the roadmap. Another one is define global, regional, or business unit level changes, which may be related to finance, supply chain management, order management, IT, etc. And it also takes into consideration multiple dimensions of any organization, looking at different processes, people, technology, mission, vision, giving these multiple dimensions a better idea as to where the value is lying. Once that is done, in order to capture the identify the value, we also need to basically process the requirements and the KPIs so that we understand how to basically capture the value. In order to capture the value, we have to provide technical implementation experience and manage partner relationship. The next one is develop and manage new technology solutions. And finally, long-term plans for infrastructure, cloud, big data, and the process support. One of the points which I mentioned is we'll talk about the strategy. And strategy is a set of coordinated and integrated set of five choices. First one being winning aspiration. Second one is where to play. Third one is how to win. Fourth is what is the core capabilities. And finally, what are the management systems in place. This particular thing can lead us to different strategy logic. which has five major components. One is the industry analysis, second is customer value analysis, analysis of relative position as to where we are. Next one is the competitor analysis, and finally the strategy choice, which we have to pick and choose based on the different aspects which we talked earlier, like the industry, where we are, what is, when we talk about the customer value, what is exactly most valuable to the customer, so on and so forth, which leads to a good and a sound strategic choice. In order to achieve what we have designed in the strategic choice, we need to understand what is innovation and how it drives or it can affect the strategic choice. So innovation primarily can be divided into two major aspects. As we talked earlier, in the left part of the spectrum we have enterprise strategy, and the extreme right is basically sustenance and maintenance. So it can be divided into exploration versus exploitation. And when we talk about exploration, we have wide bell curve. The another characteristic about exploration is we have high benefits in case of success. And finally, we are looking at changing the organization. On the other hand, exploitation does have narrow bell curve. We are trying to have more expertise in what we know already. Another characteristics is low or incremental benefit in terms of when we talk about exploitation. And finally, we are looking at running the business in a better way when we talk about exploitation. In order to basically have success in the strategy, we have analysis done on parse, wherein I would say that multiple things can be suggested in order to achieve the best in a particular situation for the given strategy. So in terms of people, what I think is well-defined career path for both managerial and technical resources is required, wherein they can specialize in specific industry, like for example consumer product, utilities, insurance, etc., so that the core capability of the consultants who are giving services to the end clients, are really beneficial, and there is a win-win situation for both the client as well as for my company. Next one is the architecture, wherein I would say informal networks of relationships in my company allows a strong relationship building, which is very much important in this culture, because it creates a environment of sharing which improves everybody's performance over a long term. Because like there are certain things which are more easy for somebody who has experience in some specific kind of area. The next one is the routine. So in routine, what I would suggest is we should have good orchestration of mechanism to share key developments in different aspects. Like as I mentioned, the industry expertise is to be shared with the people who are training, or we can also share that experience to the marketing guys, wherein we have different projects coming in the sales pipeline which are relevant to our expertise, as well as what is there lying in the future for the technology, if we are talking about the technology, so on and so forth. And finally, culture, which is the most important part of any organization, is to be looked into. So in culture, we have to find ways to address differences between the cohorts and the talent pools due to different languages or maybe geographies, which can help each other or look into. And finally, in the culture of get the job done right should be encouraged, because just making the things work to keep up the timelines is not going to go for give us benefit in the long run. So I think getting the job done right is more important in terms of culture over a long period of time. And that particular area, or looking at all these aspects of analysis, I think it would be beneficial for the customers as